One fine day in the sleepy town of Preston, Idaho, Napoleon Dynamite and Pedro were busy contemplating their next big move. The high school election had come and gone, and Pedro had become president, but the thrill of victory was starting to wear off. They needed something new, something exciting. And so, armed with nothing but tater tots and unyielding determination, they set out to the local convenience store for snacks and inspiration. As they walked down the aisles, Napoleon's eyes suddenly widened. "Dang, Pedro, check it out! Corn nuts!" He grabbed a bag and examined it with the intensity of a scientist discovering a new element. Pedro nodded approvingly. Corn nuts were good, but something even better caught his eye. "Look, Napoleon," Pedro said, pointing to a mysterious door at the back of the store. A hand-scrawled sign read, "Secret room, enter at your own risk." "Whoa," Napoleon whispered. "Maybe it's a portal to another dimension or something." With no hesitation, they pushed open the door and found themselves in a small, dimly lit room filled with old VHS tapes, a TV, and two figures slumped on a tattered couch, engrossed in whatever was playing on the screen. As their eyes adjusted to the gloom, Napoleon and Pedro realized they were in the presence of legends. There, sitting in all their glory, were Beavis and Butthead. Check it out, Butthead. It's like those dudes from that nerd movie," Beavis snickered, pointing a finger at Napoleon and Pedro. Butthead grunted, giving his signature laugh. "Yeah, they look like total dorks, Napoleon, never one to be outdone by anyone, even cartoonish icons of the 90s, put his hands on his hips. "You guys don't know anything. I could throw a football over those mountains," he said, gesturing vaguely. Pedro, ever the calm and collected one, stepped forward. "I like your room. It's very vintage." Beavis, intrigued, scratched his head. "Vintage? Does that mean it's like cool and stuff?" Pedro nodded solemnly. "Very cool." Butthead leaned back, clearly pleased with this newfound admiration. Hey, we've got some pretty sweet videos too. Want to watch?" Napoleon and Pedro, having nothing better to do, sat down on the dusty floor as Beavis popped in a tape. The screen flickered to life, displaying a bizarre montage of music videos, cheesy commercials, and random clips of Beavis and Butthead wreaking havoc. Napoleon was mesmerized. "This is the best thing I've ever seen," he said, eyes wide. "Do you guys do this all the time?" Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes we go to the mall and stuff, but this is way better," Beavis replied. Pedro, ever the strategist, saw an opportunity. "Maybe you guys should come to Preston. We could use your help." Butthead raised an eyebrow. "Help with what?" Pedro smiled. "Campaigning. You guys could be our campaign managers. Think of it, President Pedro with Beavis and Butthead as advisors." Beavis and Butthead looked at each other, eyes lighting up with the possibilities of power and endless mischief. "I like it," Butthead said. "We could make all the rules and stuff." And so the unlikely alliance was formed. Napoleon, Pedro, Beavis, and Butthead set off on a grand adventure back to Preston High. They stormed into the principal's office, demanding a recount of the election results, claiming Beavis and Butthead's strategic genius had been criminally overlooked. Of course, chaos ensued. The school was soon in an uproar, teachers baffled by the bizarre antics and sudden spike in corn nuts consumption. Butthead took over the morning announcements, replacing them with grunts and nonsensical laughter. Beavis became the self-appointed secretary of snacks, ensuring that every vending machine was stocked with his favorite treats. Napoleon and Pedro couldn't have been happier. The school had never been more alive, more absurd, or more chaotic. And in the end, that was all they really wanted. A little bit of excitement in their otherwise mundane lives. As they stood in the middle of the cafeteria watching Beavis and Butthead attempt to teach a class on the history of heavy metal, Napoleon turned to Pedro and smiled. "This is the best plan we've ever had." Pedro nodded. "Yes, very good." And so, in the bizarre little town of Preston, Idaho, anarchy reigned and everyone agreed. Life was way more fun this way.